Imagine slightly alone in an environment specifically designed to hold massive crowds. The silence feels heavy. Every footstep echoes just a little too loudly, and the space itself feels like it's waiting for something to happen. These are what psychologists and architects call liminal spaces, transitional thresholds like waiting areas, airport concourses, or transit hubs. They are built strictly for passing through, not for inhabiting. A high school hallway in the middle of July is devoid of students and teachers. The lockers and linoleum remain, but the absence of noise creates a heavy, suffocating stillness. Authoritative. Our brains hate a narrative void. When a space is stripped of its people and its purpose, the mind steps in to fill the blanks, projecting our own internal static and anxiety directly onto the empty environment. In May of 2019, an anonymous user on 4chan's paranormal board posted a simple prompt. They asked others to share disquieting images that just feel off. The defining image to emerge from that thread was this: a windowless room featuring sickly yellow wallpaper, a damp carpet, and mismatched fluorescent lighting. Users quickly attached a terrifying mechanic to this image, borrowing a concept from video game physics. They described the horror of no clipping out of reality and becoming trapped in 600 million square miles of randomly segmented, completely empty rooms. Because this photograph lacked characters, lacked any location data, or any definitive story, it acted as a perfect informational vacuum. It compelled the internet's collective subconscious to step in and start building a universe from scratch. Online communities on platforms like Reddit and dedicated wikis rapidly expanded this initial concept into what they called Level 0. They established rigid physical laws for the space, including steadily rising CO2 levels and an obtrusive, deafening electrical hum radiating from the lights. To make navigating this endless maze possible, users began inventing complex survival mechanics, notably the discovery of a distinct resource called almond water. Looking at this diagram, we can see the rules governing almond water. While standard versions cure ailments, expired water is fatal. The community even turned it into currency, based on rare colored tiers: blue restoring sanity, green boosting awareness, and red providing rapid healing. To add a tangible predatory threat to the creeping dread, the community introduced hostile entities like the bacteria and howler, ensuring wanderers were never alone. Within just a few short years, a solitary, unnerving photograph had successfully mutated into a highly organized, crowdsourced survival horror ecosystem. The mythos evolved when creators like Kane Pixels took this sprawling internet lore and retrofitted it with a cohesive, high-budget sci-fi origin story. Instead of relying on paranormal creepypasta tropes, this narrative grounded the anomaly in the sterile environment of a 1980s government-contracted laboratory. The core plot centers on the Async Research Institute. In July of 1988, during the third test of their magnetic distortion system, the company accidentally tears open a threshold into infinite space in a misguided attempt to solve global storage needs. This narrative shift provided a concrete why for the void. It offered a framework for a new wave of independent games and found footage films to explore the consequences of that experiment. All of this raises an obvious question. Why did millions of people eagerly consume and obsessively build out this specific architectural nightmare? This diagram illustrates functional inversion. A shopping mall is explicitly designed to facilitate a bustling crowd, but when you remove that intended function, our expectations break. The brain flags the sudden emptiness as a primal threat, turning a commercial space into an environment of dread. There is also a phenomenon known as time displacement at play here. The specific use of 1990s corporate aesthetics and beige carpets triggers fragmented, universal childhood memories of waiting rooms and office lobbies. The horror of the Backrooms relies on taking the uncanny valley effect and applying it directly to architecture. These are places that are agonizingly familiar, yet distinctly broken. The non-linear, looping architecture of the Backrooms mirrors a biological process we all experience, the way the human brain rapidly stitches together environments during REM sleep. Because these images replicate that dream logic, looking at a liminal space feels exactly like remembering a place you have never actually lived. Anthropologist Victor Turner described liminality as a rite of passage. He defined it as a temporary phase of uncertainty, a space where an old world falls away before a new one is revealed. The Backrooms gives a physical shape to the quiet, inescapable moments where we lose our bearings. It's a map of those thresholds where one phase of life has ended and we're left waiting for the next to begin.